Complexity is a natural outcome of human ambition. You can see every society, from the Romans to the Mayans, and their societies and their lifestyle becomes more and more complex as time goes on. That's just a natural repercussion. That's not anything that we're experiencing for the first time. It's just that technology has exacerbated that and caused it to move at a faster rate. But there are byproducts to that complexity, and we can trace those byproducts have occurred with every society, not just ours. And the first one is that we become gridlocked. The complexity and the systems that we have become unwieldy. For the Romans, as they expanded and expanded, they lost control. They couldn't mine enough gold and silver to pay mercenaries to protect Rome. It just got out of hand, and you can see that it unraveled very, very quickly. We see in the Mayan civilization it's the same kind of situation. So what happens is that laws, daily living, everything becomes too complex, and leaders know what the worst problems are. They know what the greatest threats are, but they become unable to act. The things become political. There's a lot of debate, argument. People divide up into groups. Progress really comes to a halt. And then the second stage, which is much more dangerous, is that there's a mass confusion amongst people like you and I in society between what the facts are and what are unproven beliefs. And this is where you and I have been talking about mythology takes over. And we have a situation right now where if you actually dissect the language of news reporters, they're constantly guessing. They're not really reporting the facts. They're saying there may be a situation where the perpetrator may have done this. The minute you use the word may, you're not in the world of facts. You're saying it's a possibility. Well, everything's a possibility. So there's mass confusion then about what is really going on and what may go on, or what is a possibility of is going on. And because the language is so cleverly chopped and diced, we become very confused about what a fact is. And the internet, in some ways, has made that more difficult, because now for every study that I can read that says one thing, I can find five that say the exact opposite. So in that situation, while I'm working and trying to take care of my children and volunteer in my community and do all of these things, when do I have time to sort through what is the junk science and what is reality? So in that environment, you have people saying democracies are great. We want to have more representation by people, but what you have is people voting on mythology. And so it begins to collapse based on that, because over time public policy becomes irrational. If you don't know what the facts are, the empirical facts are, the example I use is every time I let go of my car keys, they drop to the floor. Not once have they landed in suspended animation, and the reason for that is that gravity is a fact of life. But if I can't tell what the facts are over two candidates that are running, or climate change, or debt, what debt is going to do, or whether Social Security is going to run out of money, or if I can't grab a hold of what the facts of my situation really are, then what am I voting on? I can tell you, and maybe I'll be the first one to say, I am unqualified to vote. I don't really know enough about nuclear power to know if it's clean or not. I mean, a lot of scientists say that these unspent rods that we're burying in the bowels of the earth are safe. We're burying them in safe places. But every 18 months, the average nuclear power plant is burying 3 double-decker buses worth of live nuclear material somewhere on the planet. They aren't sending it out into space. Eventually, just the mass of that has to have some impact. And some of that live nuclear material will last millions of years. So that doesn't seem like a very good plan to me. I don't know much about nuclear energy, but I can, as a logical human being, look at that and say, that's not a sustainable plan. What's your plan for not taking those 3 double-decker buses every 18 months for every nuclear power plant and putting it into the ground? There doesn't seem to be an answer to that. The answer that I get is in that mythology category that says, but you don't have to worry about it. Really, you're getting paranoid about something you don't need to worry about. Well, I might not need to worry about it today. Maybe it's 100 years from now. But I assure you, there's going to be a point at which we'll be very worried about it. And on something like nuclear energy, that's something that's a little bit daunting to me.